shooting some video in Vancouver, British Columbia at the Keel studios, some very, very, very efficient facilities up here. I'm chatting right now with a lady who is one of the very unique players in our industry. Her name is Marina Trasolini. Marina is a geologist. She's currently finishing up her MBA. She's been involved in the industry now for about 5 or 6 years, working primarily under the tutelage of Lawrence Roulston. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Al.
Let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about uranium. Right now, I think uranium is one of the most undervalued commodities out there, and I have a real interest in companies that are involved in the exploration and hopefully soon to be production of uranium. What are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree with you more, Al, because right now, most of the metals have recovered quite nicely over the last year. However, uranium is the only metal that seems to have done nothing, and
150 to 42 bucks. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's just collapsed, and investors haven't gone back to look at uranium.
Why do you think that is?
I think that a lot of people were really burned in the last uranium bull market. The whole sector ran up so high and was so hot, and a lot of people didn't start getting into uranium until it was in public media and on the news, and then they bought tons of uranium stocks, and the whole market collapsed, and a lot of people got burned badly. So,
do you think the market's coming back?
I do. I think it's going to come back, not in the near term in the next few weeks. I think it's slowly going to make gains as we see new nuclear reactors getting constructed over the next few years.
Yeah, I can't see any way, quite frankly, that it could do anything but escalate in price. And the reason I say that is because energy is a big issue, you know, and I don't know how long our country, the United States, for example, wants to be dependent on the Middle East for oil, i.e. energy. And we have so many, I guess I should say, uranium assets in the United States, and you've got a ton of them up here in Canada. It just strikes me that that's a logical place to go. I mean, even the environmentalist movement in the United States right now is saying uranium, atomic energy, it's fine, it's safe, and it's clean, and that's what we're all about.
Definitely. And 20% of the energy right now in the U.S. comes from nuclear energy. And I think that this is going to grow, especially with the new Obama plans. There was funding allotted for nuclear energy, so that should help strengthen the industry as well. And exploration is on, and companies are developing resources, especially in ISL leaching methods.
What exactly does that mean?
ISL leaching is in situ leaching of uranium out of sedimentary rock, and essentially it's an acidic water that's pumped into the resource and pumped back up, and it takes the uranium out of the sandstone in a quite environmentally friendly way. And then that fluid is taken into a processing plant, and the uranium is precipitated out into yellow cake, which is the standard uranium.
You know, we were talking earlier, and you mentioned that you had visited the Strathmore property, and I have too. Our company did all the regulatory work for Strathmore with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I know they have properties both in Wyoming and in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
There are other companies that are also very active in Wyoming and Arizona, and the amount of assets that they're finding are really pretty significant.
Definitely, yeah. One of the companies that we recently have been talking with is Urinerts, and they are a near-term ISR producer as well, and they're looking at advancing their projects in Wyoming for ISR. And Strathmore, I've been to their properties down in Wyoming. It's an exciting area for uranium exploration, and it seems that the state's very on side with developing deposits there.
Well, they're really on side because Davey, and I forgot his last name, the president of Strathmore, maybe you could help me out.
David Miller?
David Miller, yeah. You know, we've probably had drinks and dinner with Dave Miller a number of times, and he's a former local politician, was involved with the state government. So, boy, that was a good move, I think, getting him involved, and then because of his expertise, he took over and is now running the company. But they're doing everything right. Let's go north a little bit just for the fun of it. The Athabasca Basin, you know, 6 or 7 years ago, that was what everybody was talking about. And that area went from having 1 or 2 publicly traded companies involved in it to literally hundreds.
Yeah.
What's going on up there right now?
It's still a very exciting area. The Athabasca Basin has the highest grades of uranium of anywhere in the world, and companies are exploring. Like, for example, Hathor made their big discovery, and they're drilling out their deposit. And it's been tough with the uranium market. Companies like Hathor haven't been getting the credit that they should, and they're just moving things forward and drilling out this deposit. And as they do that, I think that they should start to get investor attention again.
What should listeners be, or viewers, I guess I should say in this case, be aware of if they're thinking about investing in companies that are based in the uranium sector of the resource industry?
I think that grade is very important.
Yeah.
The lower grade deposits are okay for in situ leaching again, because they don't have the big capex costs to build a mine. But for companies that are looking to develop a mine, grade is important, and some of the companies that we see are drilling out deposits that are 0.005% uranium,
and
that there's a good chance that won't be economic.
Not even close to being economic.
Yeah, so companies with higher grades, I think, are more attractive right now, and unless, again, it's ISR, then you can go for the lower grades.
Interesting. So you say be concerned with grade. I would also have to think that, you know, management would probably also be an important consideration. Want to make darn sure that the people are qualified.
Of course.
But that's true for virtually any sector of the resource industry. And then also make sure they have enough money that they can do what they want to do, or the ability to raise that money. Take 30 seconds, if you would. Viewers have been introduced to you, hopefully accurately, and I think it was accurate, but tell us just a little bit about Resource Opportunities, the newsletter that you're involved with.
Okay, Resource Opportunities. I've been with Lawrence Roulston, who's the head of Resource Opportunities, for 3 years now. And
he's a great guy.
Really great guy.
Yeah.
And we focus on the resource sector, metals and mining, and we have had great success with initiating companies and selecting winners, and that's partially because we're based out of Vancouver. We're in the know for the junior resource sector. We know the right people, and we have technical backgrounds that make us unique for evaluating deposits.
The technical backgrounds that you guys have, I think, is really important. You know, I knew Lawrence probably 25 years ago when he was he was actually a geologist for a couple of junior mining companies, and then he went on and started the newsletter, and it's been kind of, you know, very, very successful ever since then. And then hiring you 3 years ago with, you know, with a degree in geology and with your experience working around the world, literally, and visiting properties. I mean, what a great team. There's no question about it. We're going to get you back on the show in the future, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate you having you here.
Thank you so much for having me on.